Thank you, Kate. And we're pleased to say the air quality here inside Hamilton Stadium has improved sufficiently to get this game underway. First meeting of the season between the Toronto Argonauts and Hamilton Tiger Cats. Two teams, Glenn, that are at 2-3. Both have had issues to deal with. Let's start with Hamilton at quarterback. Bo Levi Mitchell gets hurt 2 weeks ago. Jake Dolegala last week against the Riders. Now Trey Ford gets his first start for the Cats.
Yeah, it wasn't just Jake Dolegala's fault in the loss to Saskatchewan, but only 7 points generated. So Scott Milanovic has decided he's going to give Trey Ford the opportunity. Ford, as you remember, has got the art of the escape down pat. We'll see how he plays in this one. It's a great opportunity. Mackay Polk has been activated in the Toronto offense. 3 touchdowns in the last 2 games.
Mike Miller in his first season as Argo's head coach. He spent the previous 4 as the QB coach, and they're coming off a narrow loss to the Bombers in Winnipeg last week. And Scott Milanovic, who once coached the Argos to a championship in his 3rd season on the Hamilton sideline, and faced with that challenge of getting his team back into the win column after the devastating loss of their most valuable player, Bo Levi Mitchell, a couple of weeks ago. Well, the Ticats won the toss. They have deferred. And no Jadarian Grant here, too. A new returner coming up here for Toronto. You see Sam Hicks back there as well. So this is underway on a Saturday night in Hamilton. And the Argos will get the ball first. The wind is picked up and allowed this to get going. That's the new returner for the Argos. That's Dymere Miller making his debut. And here comes Chad Kelly now, the most outstanding player in the league 3 years ago. And now, coming off that injury last year, suits the leading passer in the CFL.
Well, he loves the deep ball, loves to push the ball down the field, has more big plays, those 30-plus receptions than any quarterback in the league. And last week, the first game, 0 interceptions for Chad Kelly.
He has 8 on the season, trying to clean up that part of it, and still throw it deep, but throwing it there, and it's just a short one. Julian Hauser got his hands up and knocked it away, so batted down, 2nd down coming up.
Brandon Kemp is back at that right tackle position on the offensive line for the Argos. That's the group that their task, if they accept it, is to protect their quarterback, so he gives him time to go deep. And Mackay Polk, I mentioned off the top, because 3 touchdowns in the last 2 games. You go back to that Bomber game, he had over 100 yards in that one, so they're starting to get him more involved in the offense.
This is a big play offense. 14 times this season already. They pushed it for plays of more than 30 yards. 2nd down and 10, and that one more of an intermediate route caught by Demonte Coxian after the catch. Stiff arms away and picks up a first down across midfield for the Argos.
I don't know about you, but I already feel the tension. Do you feel the tension when these 2 teams meet? I mean, just a little more jump in their step, just a little more take it on, and when they get to the sideline and are running out of bounds, it's that right hook to the shoulder pads just to try to send a message early in this game.
It's an old rivalry over 75 years, and at many times a nasty one. You're right about that. No love lost between the black and gold and the double blue, even with players having played for both of these teams. We'll get into that too. First down, and Kelly rolling to his right, and there we go with a deep look into double coverage, and down and intended there for that new receiver Miller, and just not quite down. It hits the turf first. It's incomplete.
Yeah, this is what we're talking about Kelly trying to push the ball down the field. It's really one-on-one to his new returner and Miller. He ends up running into double coverage because there's a high player as well.
Not quite. Looked like he had a shot at it. 2nd and 10 now, but getting used to seeing that out of Chad Kelly in this offense. Those deep balls. Kelly trying to get rid of it. He can't. They've got him, and a late flag coming out on the sack. Isaiah Banya is in on the sack for Hamilton, but as he was taken down, a penalty was called.
Banya was off the edge, and that penalty flag came late as they were pulling Kelly to the ground.
Major foul, roughing the passer. Hamilton number 46. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Philip Osai is the one flag for that.
Right hand went to the back of the head. That because it didn't look like he got his face mask after that. He was, the right hand anyway was on the shoulder pads.
So that moves it down to the Hamilton 34 with the penalty. Opening drive in the first meeting of the season between Toronto and Hamilton. And swinging it out to the right to David Ungerer. The ex-Ticat on the move, and he picks up more good yardage inside the 25, but the 24 and close to a first down.
Take a look at the starting defense for the Hamilton Tiger-Cats. Julian Hauser off to a good start with 4 quarterback sacks. That's tied for the league lead. One change in the linebacking core. Braxton Hill is out. Jordan Crook out of Arizona State. And Arkansas is in. And Katsatonis, another interception last week versus Saskatchewan. He now has 3 and counting on the season.
So Crook at will, and he does have one other game experience. Got the start in the season opener against Montreal here. 1st and 10. And a running play. And that's Isaiah Smith, the rookie out of Guelph, taking it down to the Hamilton 15.
Penalty-aided drive on this one for the Argos on that close face mask. Still don't know if it was the hand to the back of the head from Osai that kept this drive alive. We'll see if Chad Kelly can finish it.
Smith stays in the backfield. Gets the ball again. Needs 2 yards for the first down. He's got it, and a little bit more. Destin Talbert and a bunch there in the black and gold, and Crook too to haul him down, but he gets near the 10, and it's a first down coming up.
Let's take one more look at that sack. This is the play that kept this drive alive, and okay, you see the left hand and how Kelly's mask gets twisted. So there is the call. That's a great angle to show you exactly what happened.
Kept it going for Mike Miller and that Argonaut offense, and now they're down. It's still a 1st and 10, just outside the 10 where they scrimmage. Kelly has time, and he swings it over to the left. That's caught by Smith. Takes a hit, works his way down closer. And it's becoming a busy opening drive for the rookie Isaiah Smith as a good pickup on first down.
Destin Talbert saves a touchdown there on the check down from Chad Kelly. Looked like on this play action he wanted the seam route and then went and checked it down to Isaiah Smith out in the flat out of Guelph. Good contact made by Talbert saying, okay, you got to play there, but you're not getting in the end zone.
Nice play of the drive coming up here. Isaiah Smith drafted in the 2nd round in 2026 and listed as the starting running back on the depth, and yes, he's been getting touches so far. 2nd and 2. Back to Smith. Now bear in mind they could get a first down without a touchdown. They're awfully close to it, as he needed to get just down to the 1 or just inside. So a 3rd down and short coming up here. We saw Kelly off on the sideline. Nick Arbuckle in at quarterback for Toronto.
Yeah, just checking to see good contact by Bagna right at the behind the line of scrimmage, as a matter of fact.
So it's 3rd down and about a 1.5 feet. Close to the goal line too. Here we go with Arbuckle. Keeps it, pushes, and looks like he has a Toronto Argonaut touchdown. So a great start for the Argos. One penalty helped out, but they move their way down and get the first points on the board.
Yeah, penalty aided, but that's okay for the Argos. They moved down. It was a good call by the officials. It was face masking and roughing the passer. Arbuckle finishes the drive. The Hamilton Tiger Cats have been very good in the penalty department so far this season. In fact, ranked 2nd coming in, just about 50 yards in penalties per game. But that one kept that drive alive, and Chad Kelly was able to finish when Arbuckle came in and show yardage.
Liram Hiralau, the point after with a new holder. The punter is James Burnup, replacing the injured John Haggerty, and up and through it goes to add an extra point after a 10-play, 64-yard drive to open up this game, and about 5.5 minutes capped off by this. Nick Arbuckle takes it in. Back in Hamilton, another look at the opening drive by the Argos, capped off with a touchdown.
Yeah, good start to the game for the Argos on the road again this year. That was the penalty, one of 10 plays on the drive to get them down close enough that Nick Arbuckle in short yardage could finish it. 64-yard drive, finished with the major, and a little big back and forth, and trash talking with the rivals.
I was going to say, how big is the rivalry? Nick Arbuckle is about as big a pacifist as you can find. He's pretty fired up there with Owen Hubert after getting into the end zone. Discussing things now with number 3 on the depth, the Argos, Tucker Horn. It's Liram Hairolahu now. Got that on the tee at the 30 to kick it off. Isaiah Wooden. And Trey Ford waits in the wings for his first start as a member of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, now in his 5th year. About to get the ball as Wooden takes it at his 25. Isaiah Wooden with it. And straight up runs into fellow returner Myron Mitchell before falling down just across the 40. So Ford, after 4 years with the Edmonton Elks, and from just down the QEW, Niagara Falls, a lot closer to home. And getting a start again, coming up on a Saturday night in Hamilton. Trey Ford had 23 career starts with the Edmonton Elks. Last year, though, you take a look at the numbers that he had, Suits, and ultimately pulled just a little over a year ago for Cody Fajardo.
Yeah, I mean, when you take a look at Trey Ford's career, it's those starts you talked about, 10 of them were wins. There's 1 and 4 before departing from Edmonton and then ending up here in Hamilton. Lots of discussion this week as to whether it should be he or Jake Dolegala before he gets the start.
It was Dolegala last week, and that one not near Myron Mitchell. It is too far and too high, and it falls down for a second down.
Offensive line for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, Brandon Revenberg, the longest serving Ticat. This is his 162nd game in the Canadian Football League, and with the skill set of Trey Ford, won't be surprised at all to see maybe Larry Roundtree have his best game of the season.
You saw Jared Baines there in the booth, the offensive coordinator, working with Scott Milanovich on the play calls here in a 2nd down and 10. And Ford tries to take off and dumps it off nicely to Larry Roundtree, who gets it all the way into the Argo zone just as it looked like Ford was going down. And that's the kind of intangible that he does bring to this offense.
Well, it's an escape routine that he could take to Las Vegas because he is that good at it, and that means that both Roundtree at a tailback spot, whether he's picking up blitz or trying to block for him, has got to be alert and be aware, as do the receiving corps. Unlike any other quarterback, Trey Ford is going to move around, make people miss, so you got to know your scramble rules down pat.
And those two combined, right at Ralph Hawley had him. He had Ford as he was going down, but dumps it off. Gain of 19 to the Argo 51. Here we go now in a 1st and 10. Ford escapes again. A flag is out. Keandre Smith has it. And we saw right at the line of scrimmage, looked like the Argos were offside. Another late flag coming out just as Ford was tossing that off to Smith. Smith, the 6th leading receiver in the Canadian Football League coming into this week.
Offside. Toronto number 95. 5-yard penalty. Remains 1st down.
Jonathan Kongbo flagged for that. It's been the timing coming in. So they get the 5 yards. It's a 1st and 5 coming up here at the 46 of Toronto. Already midway through the 1st quarter. This is Hamilton's opening possession, down by a touchdown. Max Mang in motion, left to right, 3 to the left, handing off, right side. Not much there. That time for Roundtree on that 1st down gets maybe a yard, and but a 2nd and 4 coming up.
Take a look at the Toronto defense starting group up front. Andrew Chatfield, a couple of sacks on the season, but also in the top 10 in pressures. More on that as the game goes on. Maybe their best player on defense is Darius Pickett. And in the secondary, just because he's got such a great handle, Bubba Bolden starts at safety.
Who started with the Alouettes, had an interception earlier from Montreal, where he winds up with Toronto. 4-man rush, Ford completes it, 1st down. Nicely done for Mitchell. Gets it inside the 40 as this drive continues for Hamilton.
You know, Trey Ford, I mentioned with Roundtree how that combination could be dynamic here in this game tonight, because Trey Ford presses the edges of the defense and puts so much pressure on them that it should open up run lanes between those tackles. So that's the challenge for the Argo linebacking core and front seven, is to try and keep Trey Ford contained but not open up the inside run lanes too much.
So when Goss playing it well for the injured Cam Judge. We go in a 1st and 10. Roundtree takes the pass in the right, gets it down just inside the 35 now of the Argos. Mentioned the 24th start for Trey Ford tonight after 23 in Edmonton and 4 seasons. There's the list of Canadian content led by the great Russ Jackson, many great years in Ottawa, Frank Cosentino, and Nathan Rourke climbing the charts, of course, with BC.
Yeah, and we hope for a speedy recovery. Know that Nathan Rourke went down in that game against Edmonton last night, so hope he has a speedy recovery. Number ones are starting to go down a little bit in the league.
Hamilton was certainly feeling that, the way Mitchell had started, and there's Ford making something happen. And this is vintage Trey Ford when things break down, how the athleticism also kicks in and he just runs for that first down.
This is the example that Greg Quick, the defensive coordinator, has, I'm sure, worked with this group. But watch how off the edge, you see how Pickett lost contained. That's how quickly it happens when you're going against Trey Ford. So you got to go to the high shoulder every single time you're coming off the edge, whether you're a defensive lineman or a linebacker, with the assignment of containment.
Greg Quick, defensive coordinator, his 3rd go-round with the Toronto Argonauts, came to the league in 2010 with a double flurry. 1st and 10, 25. Ford steps out, tosses it deep into the end zone. Touchdown! Touchdown to Kenny Lawler. And there's a combination we have seen before. Trey Ford's first touchdown pass a little over 4 years ago here in Hamilton in his rookie year was to Kenny Lawler.
Let's take a look at the route. Just a little stop and then go to the post. One-on-one on Tavares McFadden. Gets in behind, but that play, in fairness to McFadden, took a lot longer than it normally should because Trey Ford climbed the pocket, got down upfield, bought some time on his own, and found Lawler.
So they combine again, this time in Hamilton. Mark Leggio, the point after. And it's the kind of stuff that works with Trey Ford, using his legs, whether it's to take off and gain ground or to buy himself some time. Finds Kenny Lawler for his 3rd touchdown of the season. Tie game. Touchdown pass, Kenny Lawler, which leads us to tonight.
Well, I'm glad you found that because it reminded me that Kenny Lawler was part of the Edmonton Elks at one point. But yeah, that's where that connection started. Not surprised at all, and I think that's a good decision. I mean, not just because of that opening drive, but a good decision by Scott Milenovich. Not because it was Jake Dolegala's fault in Saskatchewan. It was a team loss, but it's almost like an audition between the two to see who is going to take over for Bo Levi Mitchell.
Each team has had a possession. Each team has driven down to score a touchdown. So it is back to Miller now in his debut in the CFL. Dymere Miller on the return. Chad Kelly coming on now. Interesting start.
That it's been 370 days, given how that first drive went for him. When Scott Milenovich was asked about why he decided to go with Trey Ford this week, he said simply, I need to give this team a spark. And I think we can try to use Trey Ford's skill set because we know it's very different than a Jake Dolegala out there. And of course, we saw it on that first drive, what you can see what Trey Ford can do with his legs and obviously his arm as well. He was asked about the start and he said, you have to prepare every single day like you are a starter in this league, and you have to go out there with confidence because you know guys will buy into it. And I feel like his group definitely bought into it in that first one. He did say people have to understand this organization did lose our Hall of Fame quarterback. Go easy on us a little bit, but so far so good, guys.
Sure is, Brendan. We've seen that before. He seems to be at his best when he can use his legs. It's Ford to the right there for the Argos. Kelly completes it to David Unger, just feeling his way through for a good first down pickup of about 8 yards.
Yeah, this is going to be a great showdown between these two quarterbacks in this game tonight, because you got Trey Ford, who has the skill set that Brett just talked about and the ability to escape, and then the big arm from Chad Kelly. When you think about Chad Kelly and how he reads defenses and the stress he can put on a defense is from the top down. He's looking for that deep shot before he looks for anything else. He's been doing it all season long so far. This is his 6th game. 3 for 5 so far for 41 yards. They go to the ground. First carry in this one for Sam Hicks, who had been their feature running back, and he has enough for a first down Toronto. So we have basically Chris Angel on one side of sideline and the escape artist, and Chad Kelly, who's on pace for over 6,000 yards passing this season. I know it's early. When we talk about pace, people jump on us if we go too early, but 360 yards per game, he's pushing the ball. And as you said, the one thing he really wanted to tone down to the number of picks he was throwing. He's thrown 8 to lead the CFL, but none last week in Winnipeg. Blitz coming. Kelly trying to get away, and he can't. Reggie Stufflefield is there to finish him off as Kelly pressured again and is sacked for a big loss. Well, clearly the strategy defensively for Wynn McManus's group is to send pressure. To try and send pressure, because they're coming. I mean, this is more than the Argo offensive line and tailback can block. They sent one extra free man, and that's Stubblefield coming off the edge, and he got home. Push back to the Toronto 40 now. For that second down to 19, the loss of 9. The sack on Kelly. Stands in, fires it near midfield, bobbled there by Mackay Polk. He just couldn't get a handle on it. Jamal Peters in on him, so that's it for the Argo drive this time around, as they'll have to punt it away. Speaking of former Argos and Ticats, and there's a bunch of them out here in this game tonight, including Wynton McManus that we'll get to at some point, but that's just Jamal Peters stepping up and not allowing Mackay Polk to juggle that to himself. There's James Burnham in his debut for the Argos and the CFL for that matter. After John Haggerty got hurt last week, he was traded by the Ottawa Red Blacks, so his debut, and his flag's out, and the return here by Wooden. Across the 40, here we go. Tripped up finally, and an excellent return by Wooden. Mentioned there is a penalty, but getting that across the Hamilton 50. We'll see what the penalty is, but one of the things that the Ticats will have to do with their star quarterback down. This return might come back. Well, you just saw the reaction there coming off after a great return, knowing it's going to be against Hamilton as they discuss this. The referee is Tim Croker for tonight. So many game-breaking returners in the CFL right now. That is certainly one of them.
Hamilton, this is a 10-yard penalty. It remains 3rd down.
There was definitely 13 out there. Scott Milenovich wanted to remind everybody that it was a two-returner formation. There's 2 different kinds. That's Bob Dice's department, but there's 2 different kinds. You have with a single returner back there with 11 on the line of scrimmage, or 2 returners back. Especially in win games, you're going to play with 2, and then you can only have 10. They had 11 up front. So they move it up for the Argos. See if they can get better field position here on the punt by Burnham, a 55-yarder. Wooden will try it again, but he's upended Derek Sluka on the special teams tackle, and a good exchange there from the penalty for Toronto, as Hamilton will have to start this time inside their 20. Yeah, you can imagine that the play calling will change for Scott Milenovich a little bit too. I mean, they're going to stay with the structure of their offense and the concepts that they are teaching quarterbacks and how they read their defensive keys, and the ball is directed depending on what those keys say. But I think there's some different plays that are going to be, especially those riding the side RPOs. Ford is 4 for 5. Like touchdown toss earlier in the last possession, handing off there on the ground. Isaac D'Arcangelo, the tackle there on Larry Roundtree after he picks up about 5 yards. Bo Levi Mitchell in the lineup. Hamilton Tiger Cats started the season scoring 35 points per game. And in the 2 games he's been out, that has dropped to 10. So you have to manufacture wins. Get some positive stuff out of your offense. They did that already in drive 1. Special teams and defense has to contribute.
2nd and 5. Ford to throw. Dancing around. Checks it down to Roundtree, who bowls his way past Arcangelo up to the 30, and another Ticats first down.
Yeah, Roundtree already has 3 catches, couple of runs. And going to be more and more important. Those RPOs is always between tailback and quarterback, and the QB and Trey Ford gets a chance to decide whether or not he's going to pull it, depending on the defensive end and how he plays it, and then those checkdowns.
Right at the 30, faking the handoff and taking off. Ford running again and successfully, as he gets another first down on the ground, adding to his rushing totals as well. And what a quick first quarter this was, as each team only having the ball twice. Quentin McManus in Hamilton now against his old team. The Argos drove down for a touchdown. Trey Ford brought him back with that toss to Kenny Lolan. 7-7 tie after 1 week with the news of the passing of one of the legends in the Canadian Football League, Toronto Argonaut defensive end Jim Corrigal, who died at the age of 80. Had an 11-year career, Glenn, in the CFL, 8 times Division All-Star, 4 times CFL All-Star, and also the only Argo in history to win Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, and his number 79 retired at Kent State, where he played his college football, and was drafted in the 2nd round to the St. Louis Cardinals at the time, and chose to play with the Argos. And, you know, just a unbelievable career. So our thoughts and prayers are with the family and friends of Jim Corrigal, and a great football player he was, and a better person.
Absolutely. And when we commissioned a list of the top 50 of all time back in 2006, Jim Corrigal was number 38 on that list, and still regarded, of course, as one of the greatest to play in the Canadian Football League, passing away earlier this week. Second quarter begins, 7-7 tie. Trey Ford with the ball, and that one falls shy, knocked away, and falls shy of Myron Mitchell.
2 great opening drives for both teams in that first quarter. Chad Kelly drove it down the field for a major. Arbuckle finished the drive with a 1-yard plunge at the goal line, and then Trey Ford went to work. Couple scramble plays, kind of making it up as he goes along, which is his game. Found Kenny Lawler in the back of the end zone on a scramble.
So that's incomplete. It's a 2nd down and 10. Ticats with their 2nd possession in this game. Ford scrambles around, takes off again, wants to run for that first down, and he will, and more sliding down right in front of Bubba Bolden. And again, we see it and we say it, using the legs of Trey Ford, whether it's to run or pass.
Well, you know, and you can tell by the focus that Trey Ford is locked in to do this. He is taking a look at the initial read down the field against the secondary and linebackers in their drops. And after that, he is popping out of there quickly. Clearly, Scott Milenovich has said, hey, do what you do. We need a spark. You can bring that spark with that.
23-yard gain for Ford. Handing off. They run again. It's Roundtree. Puts his head down, but not much doing right there. Owen Goss in on the tackle, and a 2nd and long ahead here for Toronto. Ford, though, rushing 47 yards already.
So Chatfield, Congo, guys up front, Darkangelo, they're going to have to be disciplined on that D-line. It's going to be a game where discipline is going to matter. Every one of those gaps are vulnerable if you make them too wide. The gaps between guard center and guard and tackle.
Hamilton has the ball at the Argo 41. Near in a 7-7 tie. Early 2nd quarter. 2nd and 8. Ford stands in with time. And the throw, it's intercepted. There was a flag out earlier. That is picked up by Benji Franklin, who was tackled by the intended target, Kenny Lawler. So we'll wait and see what the flag is. We could have our first turnover of this game.
Kenny Lawler slipped trying to get back to the football.
Offside. Hamilton, number 37. Penalties decline. Both of the play is a turnover. First down, Toronto.
And the second interception of the season for Benji Franklin.
Every time we talk about Benji Franklin, I think back to that playoff and Grey Cup run when he had an interception in the semi, the final, and the Grey Cup. A couple of them. Which reminds me of that playoff run where his eyes never left Trey Ford the whole time. He was running the rope for Lawler. Lawler tried to stop him to get there.
First turnover of the game, and Sam Hicks has a carry as the Argos pick up 5 yards.
That pick by Benji Franklin looked a little bit like a young Davis Sanchez. Has his receiver under control, playing the corner, falling off, locked in on the quarterback, understanding where the receiver was, and then running the rope for him.
Jesse was one heck of a
he made a couple of those plays.
People may forget Chad Kelly. Here we go again. A deep ball, one-on-one, and knocked away nicely by Quavian White on Kevin Mitau. Kelly loaded up and looked again, and this time denied again, as it's a quick 2 and out for the Argos.
Out of Georgia State. And you know they're going to test him, especially with Mitau, try to get him going again like they had him in the first couple of games. Well played, a little bit of hand fighting going between the two of them. Got to let that go. And the knockdown.
James Burnup, the punter, his debut in the CFL. And off the hop, Isaiah Wooden takes it at his 15. A 63-yard punt by Burnup, as Wooden gets it out to about the 22. So last time they had the ball, driving down, it was intercepted by Benji Franklin. 7-7 tie. Trey Ford coming back on.
But the defense for the Ticats won the sudden change. Because whenever there's a sudden change like that in a turnover, team that just grabbed that turnover has got all the momentum. They go down and score, and it starts to roll on you pretty quickly. Hamilton defense got a 2 and out.
Well, Hamilton, as a team, had early season momentum. They lost their opener in overtime, a game they felt they should have won. And along the way, they beat Winnipeg and BC, and Bo Levi Mitchell went down against the Bombers here a couple of weeks ago. And they're trying to get that feeling back. And on the ground, Roundtree, the tackle there, Derek Sluka coming in to help out, as he doesn't get much, about a couple of yards.
Lots of touches already for Larry Roundtree, which is, it makes a ton of sense based on the skill set of the quarterback that Scott Milenovich has on the field in Trey Ford.
Well, that was his 4th carry.
Seven touches, though.
But yeah, he's got the catches and actually better receiving, 3 for 29. So 7 touches in all on that one. Just 2 yards there, a 2nd and 8 now. Second quarter at Hamilton Stadium. Here's Ford, and just a 4-man rush, and goes off to the left again. The coverage was there, but good catch by Curly Gibbs Jr., who started his career as a member of the Toronto Argonauts, and that was first season with Hamilton.
Yeah, such a great possession receiver, and I don't mean he can't go deep, but he's so good at these clutch catches, the money catches I call them, on 2nd down, especially 2nd and long. A deep out, strong hands against 2 defenders.
So gets the first down up to the 35 Hamilton. Another 4-man rush, swinging it out quickly for Roundtree. Eludes a tackle by Chatfield and ends up getting 5 more yards. So some good work after the catch just to get it back to the line of scrimmage after it looked like Chatfield, the Argos, had him in behind.
Yeah, right now the Ticats are 6 of 7 on 2nd down conversion. See if they can keep that high rate going. And on this play, Chatfield had 2 shots at Roundtree. One there, and then one there.
That would have been for a loss of 5. This is a 2nd and 10 that said Roundtree just did well to get back to where they had started. Hamilton 35-yard line here. Can they get another 2nd down conversion? They've been doing well. We talked about in that department. Off to the right now. Coming back to the ball. It is caught. First one for Carrick Wheatfall, but only 5 yards as he goes down as the ball arrives. So the punting unit will have to come on now for Hamilton.
Yeah, just a little short on the throw from Trey Ford. Wheatfield was was open. He was still shy of the marker by about 2 yards. He had to come back for that.
So for the first time, we will see Hamilton's punter tonight. It's Mitchell McCarthy. And like James Burnham, who's punting for the Argos, both out of the Pro Kick Academy in Melbourne, from the Melbourne area. Two of the many Australians you see kicking in the Canadian Football League. McCarthy won a national championship with the Indiana Hoosiers earlier this year. And there's Burnham. He played for Alabama.
And Burnham will also be the holder in this game. And that's a skill that takes some time to.
Well, you would know.
It's all about the timing between center, holder, and kicker and Hairolahu. And you know, when you think about it this way, that exchange from 7 yards away from the center to the holder and then the ball being kicked has to take less than 2 seconds, or you can get it blocked.
It's taken for granted, but not all that easy at times, to be sure. McCarthy has that role too, but also as the punter and getting it away. Back there is time here. Miller lost the handle for a bit as Tyler Chernowski was trying to make him pay for that one. It is CFL debut. Miller does get the ball back in a 7-7 tie. Who do have a history. Let's go back to Brett.
Yeah, thanks, Rod. Jared Baines may be on the offensive side of the ball, but he was once on the defensive side of the ball back in Saskatchewan about a decade ago, where he worked alongside Greg Quick, who he says showed him the ropes of what coaching takes in this league. He told us that he shared all the details with him. He was never demeaning to me. He always taught me what it was like to be a pro. Quick, in turn, said Baines is a great example of what it takes to be a coach in this league and gain the ranks and work your way up, as to what he's done now. Now, Suits, one of our favorite stories that he told was the fact that Baines said he remembers arriving at a meeting about 5 minutes early back in the day, and Quick said, that's not going to fly. You have to be first here and last to leave every day.
Yeah. Hard-working coaches, and that's in the hands of number 25, Sam Hicks.
It is so great to be able to talk to the coordinators in our preparation for games, and both Jared and Greg, great mutual respect. And I love that story because Greg, you know, if you're 5 minutes early to a meeting, you're already late. And he was basically saying, he was a young guy, and we were teaching him the ropes, and I said, listen, you got to be first in, last out. No player can beat you ever into the offense. Jared learned quickly.
Second down and 1 at the Toronto 28 after that pickup by Hicks. Just trying to get to just about the 29 on that second and short.
Yeah, and if you're wondering, you know, is Jared Baines calling the plays for Hamilton? He's not. It's a collaboration with he and Scott Milenovich. So Scott Milenovich is looking at his play sheet. He's getting input always from Jared, what he sees from above, and then they coordinate. Some plays are suggested to Scott Milenovich. Sometimes he waves them off, sometimes he goes with them, but it's a great collaboration.
Argo football, and back to Hicks going left side, and Wynton McManus, ex-Argonaut, among those in on the tackle there for Hamilton after a 4-yard pickup by Hicks.
Two-time All-Star, 101st game of his career for Wynton McManus. And oh, by the way, spent 4 years wearing the other jersey.
Yeah. Oh, we talked to him about that. It's a different feeling for him, to be sure. He didn't have to move, of course. Two cities are so close together, but still must really feel the move right now. We're talking gold instead of double blue. Getting it away quickly is Kelly. Mackay Polk has it. And Polk with his first catch as he turns it back up inside and backpedals, and Destin Talbert finally wrestles him down inside the Hamilton 50. A big pickup and first down there for Toronto.
Just outstanding. First of all, just the count by Chad Kelly to know that there's going to be a free guy. And actually, the free guy was Wynton McManus on the outside. He tried to time that jump and get the knockdown, but calm, cool, collected Chad Kelly recognized blitz, recognized he didn't have all the guys blocked up front, including McManus, and just calmly threw it up to that wide side out.
So Chad Kelly is 5 for 9 for 69 yards. Opening drive went for a touchdown. And now this one inside the 50, right down to the Hamilton 49. 5:41 to go until halftime, and there was a time Wynton McManus would have considered this enemy territory. Now he's trying to fire up the crowd as the Argos call a timeout. But Grey Cup champion with the Calgary Stampeders, where he broke in 2018, and of course won a couple more cups with the Argos in 22 and again in 24.
Yeah, and his defensive coordinator right now, Brent Monson, was the linebacker coach in Calgary at that time. So they have an outstanding relationship. And when your defensive coordinator and your linebacker are on the same page, good things happen on defense.
Here's Kelly again. Play fake. Another deep ball. One-on-one coverage and nearly picked off by Zamari Walton in coverage there, and David Unger, who wants a flag.
Yeah, Mike Kelly and Chad Kelly are... Excuse me, Mike Miller. I keep doing that.
Mike Kelly, an old coach in the CFL.
Yes, that's why I keep doing it. No, Mike Miller and Chad Kelly are clearly going to test Jamari Walton and Quavian White on that side of the field. Two young defensive backs finding their way. Test them, see how they play. So far, they've made both plays.
Well, we mentioned that the Argos lead the way in big plays, passes of 30 yards and more with 14 coming in. They've tried several. Haven't clicked yet. They keep trying. And there's Isaiah Smith. Just tripped up as he got inside the 50. And that was on second down, just picking up about a yard and a half. So third and long coming up here for Toronto.
Looks like Chad Kelly in the middle of that series was having some communication issues with Mike Miller, and pointing to his helmet as if he wasn't getting the plays, and they were trying to make sure they get in and out of the huddle with everybody understanding what their assignments are. Still trying to get that communication level back to normal.
So a little too far to try a field goal for Hyra Lau, so Burnham is on to punt it right around midfield. Sends it down inside the 5-4 Wood. Well-placed punt by Burnham of 42 yards. D'Arcangelo in the special teams tackle inside the 10. So Ford to come back on here. A 7-7 tie. First meeting of the year between Hamilton and Toronto. Tomorrow it comes to an end at 3 Eastern, noon Pacific time. You can watch it live on TSN, CTV, and Craig. What a journey coming down to the defending champions Argentina and Spain, which won the World Cup back in 2010.
Who do you got?
I'll say Spain.
Messi? You're going to take Messi or no?
Spain.
Okay, you're going with Spain.
What do I know?
I'm with you.
We'll see. We'll get a chance to watching Trey Ford now as he picks up good 4 yards on that first down. Ford with his first start as a member of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. His first season closer to home, is said, not too far away from Niagara Falls down the QEW.
And by the way, in his career, in those starts that you mentioned, he's 1-1 against the Argos, and one of those games was a 300-yard passing game for Trey Ford.
So he has had him, which you think of him and what he can do with his legs, and that's what we've seen so far in this game. And that opening drive for Hamilton, and here we go again. Takes off. Calls his number, and he needed to get to the 20, and he does. Looks like enough for a first down, Hamilton.
That's the gaps I'm talking about. You know, there's a little twist up front between defensive tackles, but when you're with Trey Ford,
This is the 3-minute warning.
Oh, we're going to 3 minutes. But when you're playing against Trey Ford, that gap responsibility is so important.
A quick first half. 3 minutes left in it. Still in a 7-7 tie in Hamilton.
Far in Milt. Did you get a new chain for Dog of the Week? Ron Smith, my Dog of the Week. You should Meow. Dog of the Week.
is the new chain? It's become the biggest question. Heading back to the studio, who's going to be the dog of the week? Brought to you by Milt Stegall. You gotta love that. Halftime getting closer here. 7-7 tie from the Hamilton 20 and a 1st and 10 for Trey Ford. Has the time. Goes to the left. Wide open Keandre Smith. Does a nice spin too, and another one to get it up at the 40. And a 1st down for the Ticats.
So far, I know the panel is getting ready to break down the first half for number 5 for Hamilton. But, you know, we've seen him play a ton and seen him play as a starter in Edmonton. And, you know, I think he's locked in and is on the same page with Scott Milanovich and Jared Baines upstairs when it comes to the play calling and keeping him comfortable.
Gain of 21, Keandre Smith. Up to the 41, Hamilton. Handing off Larry Roundtree. Meeting him in the hole is James Caesar. In his first year with the Argos, and stops him in his tracks for a limited gain.
Yeah, sometimes those DBs have to get in run support. And usually when you're one-on-one with a big tailback, Roundtree's about 211, so he's not an oversized tailback for sure, but that was just great help on the run by Caesar. Nice form tackle, got down nice and low, drove the hips through. Gotta love that.
From the Detroit area, went to Southern Illinois in his first year with the Argos. Here's Ford, and he checks it down to Roundtree. Picks up some steam across the 50. And looks to be enough for another 1st down. The sticks will move again for Hamilton.
That's an 80% second down completion percentage for Trey Ford. He's 8 of 10 on second downs. So far, I would suggest the experiment working well. If you take one play off the board, that interception to Benji Franklin, and sometimes defense can win. They're allowed to win sometimes.
Sure are. Up to the 51 now. Let's see what this Ticats offense can continue to do now. Getting late until halftime. Quickly out. And right into the hands of Carrick Wheatfall with Benji Franklin timing it up. And right over him, just across midfield.
That's the test for Trey Ford in this Argo defense. Greg Quick is sending some blitz now, and it's been in the second quarter. He's sending a few extra linebackers, maybe a guy from the secondary, and he wants to see if Trey Ford can recognize it and get the ball out of his hands quickly. He knows that if they go with 4-man rush, there will be run lanes open.
We had talked to Greg Quick about how different it is preparing for a quarterback like Trey Ford compared to the other ones, and finding a hole and getting right through it is Larry Roundtree. And that's easily enough for another 1st down. Impressive drive late in the first half for the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
So when Trey Ford presses the edge, it puts pressure on the edge, and he makes Chatfield stay out wide to make sure he has contained. Watch the inside run lane that'll open up for Roundtree. Stop it right here. See, there's the back cut back to the backside because they're overplaying to get to Trey.
Ford throwing, completing it down near the 30s. Curly Gittins with Bolden on him. Another 1st down. Another catch for Gittins. 12 of 15 now is Ford for 126. A touchdown and a pick. Looking to find the end zone again. Late in the half from the 30. Off to the left, it's Roundtree. And not much, couple of yards. Derek Sluka, the one that pushes him out of bounds. Gain of about a yard.
So you got 2nd and long. And at this point, Greg Quick saying, when we have got him a little off his spot, a little shaky on that wide out throw a couple of series ago, it's been with full pressure. Sending 6 or 7.
10th play of the drive coming up. See what they do defensively here now on a 2nd and 9.
4-man.
4 come. Ford can't escape her. Yes, he can. Never doubt him, I guess, as he takes off. Gets inside the 20 and a 1st down. I'm sure I wasn't the only one who thought the Argos had him that time.
Well, I would suggest he's provided a spark. at the very least. You heard Britt talk about it, and Scott Milanovich told her that it wasn't Jake's fault in Saskatchewan, but let's see if we can provide a little bit of a spark. That gets everybody excited. I don't care if you're on defense or special teams on the bench for Hamilton right now. He should have been sacked there, and Trey Ford somehow escaped.
Ralph Hawley to check his hands. It looked like he had number 5 all wrapped up, but he got away. From the 18 now, 1st and 10. And over the middle, underneath the Gittins again. Inside the 10. And close to another one it is. It's a 1st and goal coming up here for Hamilton.
Timing throw on the slant.
In their first possession, Ford, the Ticats drove down, scored a touchdown. Looking for another here, rolling to the right. Buying time into the end zone, close, and it is caught by Keandre Smith. But just coming back to the football and out of bounds.
Well, they may be taking a look at this in real time. Just to the right of your screen here, left foot, yeah, on the white stripe.
So that close, catching the ball right around the goal line, but does step back. 2nd and goal coming up. Have it at the Toronto 7 now. Scott Milanovich and the Ticats. Ford under pressure again, trying to escape DeMarcus Johnson. He does. Trying to escape Hawley, and he doesn't that time. Hawley's got him.
Face mask.
But did he get the hand on the face mask? And flags come out immediately as Ralph Hawley took him down. What a costly penalty this would be.
Well, we've seen face masks from D linemen on both sides now.
Major foul, roughing the passer, face mask. Toronto number 99.
Yeah, and with Ralph Hawley, you know, in fairness to him, when you're almost 300 pounds and you have to run around and try and catch Trey Ford, it's not intentional. You're just trying to grab at anything. Got the face mask that keeps it alive down on the 1-yard line.
And a 1st and goal and 23 seconds on the clock. A perfect scenario for the Ticats to head into the dressing room with the lead. Andy Milanovich, Litre takes it under center. Just has to put that ball across the plane, and he does for a Hamilton touchdown. And yet another flag is out as Litre spikes it down in the Argo end zone.
Interesting. Offside. Toronto. The penalty is declined. Result of the play is a touchdown.
Interesting formation to have Trey Ford lined up as if he's going to take the snap. Back out of there, and Litre steps in, and is a short yardage guy. Look, he's trying to make it look like they're going to run a regular offensive play.
94.
And that defensive line just shuffling around to try and figure out, ended up in the neutral zone.
Well, that was just about perfect for the Ticats, and ending the half that way. 19 seconds left, a 15-play drive. They went 100 yards in under 4 minutes. Roundtree, big part of that, and Trey Ford, the running and the passing, and Legia with the point after try splits the uprights, and the Hamilton Tiger Cats have their first lead of the game. That late touchdown drive, and yeah, 15 plays and eating up a whole lot of clock late in the first half.
How about that spike? What do you give it out of 10? We need new football, I think.
We'll give it at least 6 or 7 for the points on the board. And Litre, well, he's been there before, and we've seen him in, like we see with Xander Horvath in BC, running backs that do stand under center. And they had a wrinkle you talked about, just like the Lions do in that situation, with their quarterback staying on the field. Ford was out there. Litre quickly gets under and takes it in. And this, you talked about momentum and what the Ticats desperately need after really, you know, the loss of Bo Levi Mitchell and how that would affect the team going ahead. And this is the second quarterback that they tried, Jake Dolegala, last week. But they do need a spark, and so far they're getting it. Yeah,
and you know that it was a quarterback situation that right after Bo went down was unsettled. Obviously, they're trying to figure it out. And Scott Malenovich was saying there was really good days in practice for Trey and really good days for Jake, and the opposite also happened. So they were trying to figure out what to do. And hey, we got to have to play here. There's a lot of football to be played, but that's a good start for Trey Ford.
So the Argos get the ball. There's only 18 seconds left. And it is Miller, the new returner for Toronto, who is taken out of bounds around the 45. Trey Ford was 6 for 7 on that drive, but also rushed 3 times for 21 yards.
Yeah, now for Chad Kelly, it's up to him to now just sort of, he's not going to in 13 seconds. I mean, go in at halftime and regroup. The 2 or 3 deep shots he tried in that first half, plays were made by the Hamilton secondary. You know, and he wants to get to a point where he's not just relying on that for all of his offense. Still part of his DNA, no question. Keep that in there, but.
And that one's knocked away at the line of scrimmage. Looks like Miles Fox was in on that for the Ticats defensive front, but they knocked that away. And 7 seconds on a 2nd and 10, and the Argos still on their side of the field.
Yeah, you know, I'm not suggesting that Chad Kelly all of a sudden changes who he is, and like I said, he loves to take some shots, so you got to allow him to do that. But what they need to do in the beginning of that third quarter is to give their defense a little bit more rest, get some drives together. There you go.
Completes that one to Pope down at the 51 second left.
That kind of play right there.
Yeah.
You know, a nice 10-yard out on time. Really tough to cover whether you're in zone or man.
Well, Hiralau is coming out. Why not? Last play at the half. He has a career long at 56 yards, long in this season at 52.
Well, I'll say why not. Why not?
The return.
Yeah, why not? As if it doesn't go through the uprights.
Oh, you're making it sound like there's been a missed field goal return for a touchdown.
Well, there's been a couple. I'm just suggesting that.
Well, like for the Argos alone last week, Trey Babel.
Yeah.
You know they're alert to that, of course. They should be. This is a 57-yard try. Low, driving, but wide. And here we go. Isaiah Wooden looking to do what Babel did to the Argos last week.
Good coverage.
And yes, it is. And it's the punter holder in that case, Burnham, who comes in and gets him out of bounds. And late flags coming out afterwards as they raise the flag for halftime.
Is this a rivalry flag? Meaning something happened after the whistle, after the play?
Well, you talked about how chippy things looked right at the beginning. And never any love lost between the Tiger Cats and the Argos, a rivalry that's going on for...
After the play, 15-yard misconduct foul against Toronto number 61.
Yeah.
That 15-yard penalty will be applied in the second half. The first half is over.
Then an eventful first half it was, so that's Brandon Kemp flag, but talked about a 75-yard or year rivalry between the two. But long drive to open it up with a connection to Trey Ford and Kenny Lawler.
Kenny Lawler, of course, caught the first touchdown throw from Trey Ford in the Canadian Football League when they were members of the Edmonton Elks, and a real nice catch.
And here is Britt now with Kenny Lawler.
Kenny, you caught Trey Ford's very first CFL touchdown pass, actually right here in Hamilton when you were both with Edmonton. So to come out here tonight and catch his very first pass as a starter for Hamilton, how did that feel?
Felt good, you know, picking up where we left off, you know, and, you know, it felt good to just, you know, go out there and just, you know, still confidence within them, you know, within the guys. So just got to keep going.
When you look at the skill set Ford has as a quarterback and what you believe this offense can do, how can you continue to use it to your advantage knowing Toronto's going to make adjustments here?
Oh, you know, they should, but, you know, we just got to keep going. We have a game plan. You know, we're going to go in there and talk about it, and we're going to come out second half and execute it.
Thanks, Kenny.
Thank you.
All right, Kate, we'll send it off to you in the panel.
To lead the Argos 14-7 at halftime. The numbers bear out that Hamilton's offense has just been the more impressive one. Good half for Trey Ford. One of the few blemishes was an interception by Benji Franklin, standing by now with Britt Dort.
What's the biggest challenge you're noticing right now from Trey Ford in this Hamilton offense?
We know what he can do. He's a fast quarterback, but at the end of the day, we got to keep him contained and try to make him force some mistakes.
You do have that interception, so obviously you are finding a way to get to the ball a little bit. What was the biggest message from the defense?
Just come together. We know what kind of ball we can play. We all sit together, play for one another, and try to come out with this victory.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
We heard some interesting thoughts from the studio regarding Trey Ford's first half. Suits. What's impressed you the most about it?
Well, you know, first of all, we all know what he can do when he gets out of the pocket, when he's scrambling. But what impressed me in that first half, and I think Davis mentioned it at halftime, was his decision making. How quickly he decided to get the ball out of his hands when he went to the check down on a couple of crossing routes. Just quick decisions. He looks confident. He looks under control. As good as we've seen him as a starter, I would say.
Yeah, and because of a penalty at the end of the first half, the Ticats are going to get the ball in great field position. Here's Isaiah Wooden up near midfield and over it. It was a penalty against Brandon Kemp that would have them kick off from their 15 because of the roughing penalty. So here's a sample of what Trey Ford did in that first half.
Yeah, we saw a lot of examples of what he does when he creates off schedule, and that's his superpower. But what I liked about that first half was his decisions. But for the one interception where Franklin ran the route for Kenny Lawler, he made some real good decisions in the quick game and real good decisions when he wanted to check the ball down. People think that's a bit of a surrender play. It's a great weapon to get Roundtree involved.
So they start at the Argo 52. Second half begins. Play action pass. And then checking it down again to Roundtree. You heard in the studio, they were talking about using Roundtree differently, the runs, the carries, and not much there. He had 6 carries for 38 yards in that first half.
Yeah, but almost the same amount of catches out of the backfield as well. So very important, again, those inside run lanes, and we'll explain that as this game goes on. I know the panel talked about the gaps. Looks like Chatfield is down.
Second time Andrew Chatfield's been down, and one of their best pass rushers too, in a game where they're trying to get some pressure on Trey Ford. By the way, Roundtree did lose a couple of yards, second and long ahead. Working on Trevor Reed. See Chatfield going down.
Don't like to see any injuries, but it would be better to be the ankle than the knee. Not sure what they're looking at.
He was tied for the sacks lead with the Argos coming in along with Jonathan Kongbo, 2 on the season.
But the pressures is what he has been outstanding at early in this season. Ranked 6th in the Canadian Football League with 15 quarterback pressures coming into this game. So you're in the top 10 in pressures. Sometimes that's as important because it can generate turnovers.
Mike Miller's Argos, a lot of time on the road this season. They don't get back to BMO Field until early August because of the World Cup. So it's been one of the challenges, no question. It's a 2nd and 12 now for Hamilton. Ticats have been great on second down conversions, but there's a big challenge now. 4 receivers to the left for Ford, looking to the right, and throws it too high for Keandre Smith there. It sails above him and out of bounds, and despite starting with the great field position, they will have to punt the ball.
Yeah, but you know, when you take a look at it, that was well short of the sticks anyway. So well played by Greg Quick. There we go. Drop off in that zone. It was a fairly well covered receiver anyway that wasn't going to turn up and would have had to have made 2 or 3 people miss.
And that's the first 2 and out of the night for the Tiger Cats. Lining up the punt with Mitchell McCarthy.
Yeah, they've been 85% second down.
Tremendous stat efficiency. Unger are back there with Miller. Diamir Miller replacing the injured Janarian Grant in this game in his debut. A punt to 53 yards. He gets it out to the 15. So Chad Kelly and the Argonaut offense coming back on the field. Kelly 7 for 13 for only 84 yards for the CFL's leading passer in yardage coming into the week.
Yeah, but looks pretty confident coming in on this first drive of the second half, doesn't he? Just to step on and say, okay, we saw what they did in the first half defensively. Put together a game plan in this second half. Let's see how it unfolds here in this third quarter. The Ticats, by the way, had the ball for 9 minutes in the second quarter, so Chad Kelly didn't get a lot of opportunities.
The toss to the left. And that's Hicks. On that carry, and a good one, too, as they try to establish the running game for this pass-happy team to get it up around the 35. Rookie Sam Hicks with his biggest carry of the day.
Reggie Stubblefield was trying to get everybody organized on the Hamilton defensive side of the ball on that play. They weren't lined up right.
Up across the 35. First and 10 Argos, down by 7 here. Opening possession of the second half. Coming in at 2 and 3. Kelly stepped in. Jamal Peters has it. And Kelly's thrown his first pick in a couple of games, and it's a costly one because Hamilton will set up shop right near the Toronto 30. Ex-Argo Jamal Peters comes across to haunt his old team on that play. And his first interception of the season. Another turnover, this time going Hamilton's way.
All CFL corner Jamal Peters, much like Benji Franklin's interception, this is how you play confident on the corner. You know you've got your receiver under control, so you keep your eyes on the quarterback. And then as he keeps his eyes back on Chad Kelly and sees that slant route, when you play against Chad Kelly as a DB, you're always thinking, believe what you see. Even though he looks covered, Chad will try to fit it into some tight windows. Jamal Peters played the play and cut underneath that one.
9th interception thrown by Chad Kelly this season, the 15th pick of the career of Jamal Peters, and Hamilton going to work on offense with Roundtree getting it down just inside the Toronto 25.
Two veteran corners, one in Jamal Peters and in Benji Franklin. 4 years for Franklin, 6 years in the league for Jamal Peters, and very similar, different routes. The receivers ran different routes, but very similar confidence with their eyes on the quarterback, with control of the receiver, and just saying, oh, okay, you're going to throw this slant, I'm taking it.
You remember a few years ago in back-to-back games, I think he had 4 or 5 picks with the Argos against the Ticats. He was a nightmare here for a different reason when he wore double blue. Now
it's sudden change time for the Argo defense.
And a player still down for the Ticats on that running play by Roundtree. And that is Trevor Reed, the left tackle, still getting some attention from the medical staff of the Ticats.
Let me show you just while we're taking a look at the injured player, that these 2 interceptions and how confidently they're playing. See, he's not out of his chair. He's just fallen off of Lawler, understanding that if I got my eyes on the quarterback and those indicators happen, the indicators are that lead shoulder and not just where he's looking. Often a quarterback will try to look off a DB, look the opposite way, throw a different direction, but it's the indicators, the hip and that lead shoulder. Jumped it nicely.
Each have a pick. Still an injured Ticat on the field. We'll take a break and be back in a moment. Offensive lineman still on the field as they bring a card out. Here's what happened, Glenn.
Well, he's playing left tackle, of course, and it looked like it might have been friendly fire from Roundtree where their shins collided. He's got a nice kick-out block there, and then see how Roundtree kind of, as he's being tackled, their knees kind of lock, and then Reed gets rolled on after the fact. So
in his first year with the Ticats too, and a really nice addition to that offensive line.
Oh yeah,
he was in the NFL last year. He played in the CFL with the Saskatchewan Roughriders 2 years ago. Had a season there in 24 for the Riders, coming back this year, but getting some applause here at Hamilton Stadium and some attention and love from his teammates too, with that leg injury as he is going to be taken off in a cart.
Stabilize the area and then go check him out. Some x-rays. Chris Kolinkowski is the 6th offensive lineman dressed for the Ticats.
And Kolinkowski started the season at center with Liam Dobson at guard. And I wonder what kind of juggling they're going to do now, because he's the left tackle, as Reed acknowledges the crowd as he is taken off. But they'll have to do some juggling here on their offensive line, of course, with Kolinkowski coming out. Also, Quentin Barrow, the right tackle, and Nate Dumoulin-Duguay, who started as a reserve but became a starter at right guard. So yes, Brandon Revenberg, the veteran left guard, bumps out to tackle. Liam Dobson goes from center to left guard, and now Kolinkowski is back in, the ex-Bomber, now at center for the Ticats. 2nd and 4, Toronto 25, playing again. Roundtree trying to push his way to a first down, and with a little help from his friends, gets it down. Enough of a push to get.
Love the call here. When you have to make that juggle up front and change some personnel around, you move 3 guys in 3 different positions. Liam Dobson's down a different position. Revenberg out at tackle. Call a running play right behind him and let him go drive and find somebody to hit and just do some run blocking.
Get them engaged immediately. Kolinkowski that started the season at center. He's back in at center now. His first year with Hamilton. And quickly, that's over to Kenny Lawler as a touchdown in this game from Trey Ford, and picks up close to 10 yards. Has about 9 there. A 2nd and short coming up.
Play calling here, anticipating blitz from the Argos. Don't get it, but get the ball out to Lawler quickly.
Jake Dolegala is in. He got the start for Hamilton last week against the Saskatchewan Roughriders and had been the short yardage quarterback, which he continues to be here on a 2nd down and 1. Comes in for Ford, and they are down to the Toronto 11 now. Knocking on the door here after the interception by Peters. Dolegala.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know about that. He needed to get to the 10. I'm not sure he got there. Some good work by the Argo defense here. Now, that was a 2nd down. They do have that down to play with, but they may not have the first just yet.
I think Bubba Bolden got down there and got involved from the safety spot. Well, he starts with the great low leverage from the defensive line, but Dolegala didn't get any push initially and then tried at second. It's Ralph Hawley. Look how deep in the backfield he ends up. There's Bubba Bolden.
Started with Montreal. Bubba Bolden to the boat. Just works, doesn't it?
It just works. Love it.
3rd and inches. We'll try again, Dolegala.
There you go.
And a better push for the 6'7" quarterback, and a late flag coming out too after he definitely got across the 10 and should have the first down for Hamilton pending the penalty here.
Yeah, Robert Priester is out and has been a couple of games now for the Argos, so they're trying to figure out that free safety spot. Both D lines, and I'm not sure who this is on, but it looks like it's going to be another face mask.
Major foul, face mask, Toronto number 35. First down to the 1 yard line.
D'Arcangelo gets it this time.
The middle linebacker, Isaac D'Arcangelo, and with that, we got a 1st and goal right down at the 1.
Yeah, and both teams a little sloppy when it comes to that. That's about concentration. You can see the right hand across the face mask of Dolegala.
Ticats have a great chance now to go up 2 touchdowns in this game. 1st and goal, and Dolegala stays in at quarterback. The 3rd straight carry for Jake Dolegala, and a touchdown for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Points off the turnover after the interception by Jamal Peters, and they make Toronto pay and add to their lead.
Well, it's behind us now, but that was a borderline call. I mean, that was tough to call a face mask penalty in short yardage when you're just trying to drive to make the tackle, and didn't look like he grabbed the mask there either. But having said that, down to the 1, Dolegala finishes it. We've seen a couple of those penalties now that have extended drives.
2 face masks on the night. The point after by Leggio after the 4th rushing touchdown of the season for Tiger Cats quarterback Jake the start of this night. But he gets high fives and pats all around for getting into the end.
Using your hands correctly, where your hand placement is, even for the big guys up front that don't handle the ball. This is a penalty in the opening drive that kept that drive alive. A face mask there by Toronto late in the half led to this touchdown. And then one more by D'Arcangelo, face masking, leads to the Dalagala touchdown. So, you know, your hand positioning, even for a big defensive lineman or linebacker, so important. Got to keep the hands down and drive through when making that tackle. Been costly for both teams.
It has been, and especially costly for the Argos now, who scored the first touchdown, but now find themselves behind by 2 TDs, 21-7. Daimir Miller back for the kick return here for Leggio with the ball at the 30. The Argos come in at 2-3. They had a 2-1 start, but lost, gave up a lot of points to the Calgary Stampeders a couple of weeks ago. And they lost in Winnipeg in a closer one, a real momentum swing and a missed field goal return for a touchdown that was a 10-point swing in a game they lost by 9 to the Bombers last week. Now down 14, and it is back for Miller in his first game of the CFL. And a good return brewing here, and he's got some speed and some room. Miller, Daimir Miller, finally gets tackled there by Loic Gagne, but not until he ventures deep into the Ticat zone inside the 30.
Well, impressive return, no question, and great speed, as you mentioned. But Gagne's hustle just saved the touchdown and gave his defense a chance here to get a stop and maybe just give up a field goal. This is great speed, and in their debut to make a big play on the outside, show that speed, outstanding. But Gagne's not giving up. Great hustle from behind, and he can't believe he got caught.
Mickey Donovan looking on, special teams coordinator, liking that. Daimir Miller out of Rutgers. And a big play in special teams for the Argos is Kelly. Over the middle and caught. And that's Tyler Common, the leader in touchdown catches in the Canadian Football League. Gets them a whole lot closer to getting back in this game after a gain of 21.
Tonight our stats guy is Johnny Rustin, but one of our other stats guy, and John Perlberg, has gave me a little stat coming into this game that shows the pressure on Chad Kelly, and that he is the #1 quarterback in the league at 35% when under pressure. Over 600 of his yards passing has been when he's under pressure. That one he certainly was.
First and goal just inside the 10. The fake. Kelly trying to get away, and he nearly throws another interception. Reggie Stubblefield was the closest one to it. It falls incomplete, but there was a lot of heat on Chad Kelly. Mario Kendricks trying to get to him there, and it'll be a 2nd and goal, Argos.
Yeah, he manages that pressure differently than Trey Ford, right? I mean, this is a very different style of quarterback, but ducks that one, gets outside, keeps the play alive, and he was just trying to throw it away. I'm not sure he knew there was a defender that close in Stubblefield.
The ball is right at the 10. It is a 2nd and goal. 7 minutes on the clock. We're already halfway through this 3rd quarter. Argos looking for the end zone. Kelly underneath, down at the 5, and a good tackle in open space there by Destin Talbert, who gets Common, and it's 3rd and goal coming up here, 5-yard line. Argos down 14 points.
What do you do, Coach?
Looks like the field goal unit is indeed coming on.
That's the deep crossing route that trips to the field, and the big hits coming. That's another real good open field tackle by Talbert. Had one in the first half as well.
Liram Hairolau was 0 for 2 in Winnipeg, and he missed an earlier one tonight, although that was the end of the first half with no time left from the 58 yards. That one more like it for Hairolau, who pumps that one through, and they get something out of that big return. Wait for it, wait for it. There it is. No souvenir, though. 21-10, Ticats, 3rd quarter.
It was 15 years ago that Joe Montfort was getting inducted in the Canadian Football Hall of Fame, and now his former teammate Calvin Tiggle doing the same. Tiggle didn't even believe it, as you can tell from that video. He kept not understanding what he was telling him. Obviously became very emotional. This is a very exciting moment because he's joining Brandon Banks, Sean Millington, Charleston Hughes. So far, those remaining inductees will be announced in the coming weeks. And guys, that Hall of Fame induction ceremony is going to be held right here on September 17th.
And what a moment that will be, Brett. Thank you. Calvin Tagle, we remember him well. With both of these teams, won a Grey Cup, though, with the Ticats in 1999. What a special thing to see his reaction. So Hamilton football now. After 21-10 now is the score after the Argo field goal.
Well, you saw the numbers, but it was more than the numbers with Calvin Tagle, and his presence on the field demanded a double team.
Yeah.
it was that kind of dominance. And you know, I honestly, when you look at that board of all the numbers, there's Mumford and all his accomplishments statistically, it was surprising it's taken this long.
Here's Trey Ford, 2nd and 6, moving around again. He escapes Hawley and looking for the first down, and he does waltz out just as he gets it. Darius Pickett, the closest one to him, but yeah, on that 2nd down and long, enough to move the sticks again for Hamilton. But you know,
the 99 Cup.
99, the last time the Ticats won the Grey Cup, and he was a big part of that in their defense. By the way, there was another Hall of Fame linebacker spent some time between Toronto and Hamilton by the name of Mike O'Shea.
Yeah,
we'll a chance to talk to him about that. Yeah, we'll see him tomorrow. But asked him about Calvin Tagle, and this is from one of the all-time greats. He was the linebacker, says O'Shea about Tagle, that I wanted to be. Or something about the traits that he had. There was just a calming influence and tremendous strength. And
then said, I'd also, if anything went down in a restaurant or bar or something, I'd want him with me.
Yeah, a lot of people would. There's Trey Ford doing it again as he takes off under pressure and gets right around midfield. He has certainly run a lot. But Mike O'Shea and the Bombers.
Yeah, we'll be in there. That's, hey, big game.
I was just going to say, is there a storyline there in that game?
Oh, just a massive storyline.
CFL scriptwriters working on that one. Drew Brown, as he was benched to start the season by the Red Blacks and wanted out and got his wish, went back to Winnipeg. And lo and behold, with the injury, Zach Collaros will get the start against his old team just a few weeks after leaving there. Winnipeg and Ottawa tomorrow in TSN. Ford throwing deeper, and it's cut by Carrick Wheatball. Just beyond the reach of the Argo defender and inside the 20. And a bigger pass play for Trey Ford there.
Well, there's confidence, and then there's biting on that little pump fake from Trey Ford. A little bit of a shoulder and pump to freeze Benji Franklin, I believe it was, on that corner. A bit of a double move from Wheatfall, and Franklin can't get there.
And that's the longest completion of the evening for Trey Ford of 35 yards to set them up at the Toronto 20. There's still a back near the original line of scrimmage, an injured Argo getting some attention back there. And that looks like DeMarcus Johnson, their defensive end, is still down on the field. Ford 17 of 22 now for 180 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. As the 1 touchdown pass to Kenny Lawler, and the other TDs came in short yardage. Andy Milanovic Litre in the first half, and then here in the third quarter, Jake Dolegala. But Scott Milanovic, after the way things went against Winnipeg here 2 weeks ago, losing Bo Levi Mitchell, losing the game, and then getting blown out by the Riders ultimately last week at Mosaic, must be feeling a little better just about everything, really, that he's seen so far.
Let me go back and show you. Remember Benji Franklin, and I showed you how calm he was in reading the route and reading Trey Ford? Trey Ford made a note of that, and watch what he does here. There's Benji Franklin. Watch Trey Ford down the bottom of your screen. He knows that Benji Franklin is peeking at the quarterback in this man setup. Stop it there. You see how he, with that little shoulder, forced Franklin to stop his feet. He froze in that moment. That gave a chance for his receiver to get in behind him, and that's what I mean about sometimes that works for you. You can read the quarterback, you can stay with him, keep your eyes on him, and sometimes it gets you caught. And that's a good example of Trey Ford just registering that Benji Franklin was watching him and not necessarily locked in on his man, and coming back and getting him.
And just barely got it over the fingertips of Franklin into the hands of Wheatfall.
Well, he tried to recover, but he got caught peeking too long into the quarterback. So it's a kind of risk-reward situation.
And since we have another injury in the Ticat offensive line, the right tackle, Quentin Barrow, is now out. Dumoulin Duguay goes in there. So dumping it off. He does inside the 15, the 10. Curly Gittins works his way down to the 5. And a first and goal. Another one coming up here for Hamilton.
Watch Curly Gittins come across the formation. That offensive line kind of hanging in there right now. Goes back and forth a couple of times and then shoots out to the flat.
So with both tackles out, patched up O-line, and here running is Roundtree. Tries to pull his way down closer to the 2. And a second and goal coming up here for Hamilton.
Now from the 2, do you go with Dolagala twice?
Max Mang is the one wearing 65, an alternate jersey in at guard right now. The big tight end, and no, on that second down and goal, we're trying to figure out who went in. They only dressed 6 O-linemen. Well, Trevor Reed got hurt, and then Quentin Barrow went off the field, and it was 65, not in the rundown, but Max Mang normally wears 82, a tight end.
Right, and that's an eligible number, so he had to switch because with Barrow down now, they don't have another offensive lineman dressed. So Mang has to now play on the O-line, and he's like, and now he's up against Ralph Hawley.
Not the easiest thing.
Yeah, that's a tough task.
So they got close, but they'll settle for a field goal here. Mark Leggio is out and puts that one through. First field goal of the night for Leggio after 3 touchdowns for the Ticats, but it matches what the Argos did the last time they had the football, restoring a 14-point lead. Well, save big this summer and stream the hottest shows, movies, HBO exclusives, and select sports now on Crave. You can scan that QR code on the screen and get 40% off Crave with a premium annual plan.
Max Mang is 267 pounds. So.
And it's made some good plays, showed some promise as a tight end. But
yeah, athletic tight end type player.
Out of his element there, but as a necessity, though, that's DeMonte Coxey with the football right up the Argo 50 now.
That's his second touch of the game. Some of these drives for Trey Ford, though, is keeping Chad Kelly off the field and this Argo offense.
Trotter down 14 again. Kelly steps up under pressure. And that one, the closest receiver was Kevin Mittal, but not close enough. It falls incomplete. As we get late until three-quarter time, only 52 seconds to go until we head to the fourth quarter.
And as you know, a 2-score lead in Canadian football, you might as well put zeros up there.
Yeah. It's proven to be safe with about 30 seconds to go.
Yeah.
Kelly, deep ball again. He's got him coming. Only a matter of time for that combination that's worked so well this season. Kelly kept trying those deep shots, and finally one pays off down inside the 20 of the Ticats.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything fancy about the route. There's Coleman right there. And he's that middle receiver in the trip set to the wide side of the field. Just a little wiggle down the field and has to lay out. Chad Kelly put that out in front of him.
Throwing again, and that's to Coxey. And not much there is Stubblefield.
That's what Chad Kelly can do when he wants to push the football. He puts this out front, so only Coleman can get to it. If he can't get to it, incomplete, no big deal.
Came in with 253 yards receiving before this game, but 5 touchdown catches to lead the way in the Canadian Football League. And his night had been quieter, just his second catch, but that was a big one. We head to the fourth quarter. Through 3, and it's still the Ticats leading the way by 14 points. Kelly to Tyler Common, and they're getting close now, especially against a quarterback that thrives in the big play the way Kelly does. You just can't count the Argos out.
Well, coming into the week, Kelly had 14 plays of those 30-plus, down the field throws, the explosions. He's now got 15, just one in this game so far, but he has that quick strike ability, and that's another reason, one of many, that a 2-score lead is really nothing in Canadian football.
And by the way, Tyler Common, one of 5 receivers used extensively by Kelly. The other 4 projected to go over 1,000 this year. Yes, it is early, but Polk and Coatsy and Unger and Kevin Mittal leads all of them, but Common not far behind in yardage and just added to his totals there. 2nd and 11 from the Toronto 20. Hamilton 20, and down even closer to the 5-yard line. We got a 1st and goal coming up here for the Argos.
Yeah, that quick strike ability's got these numbers up for the Argo receiving corps. 4 guys on pace for a 1,000-yard season. Common just behind 1,000 yards pace. However, with the big play he just made, probably made up that distance in a hurry.
That was 41, so he's got 66 on the night. From the Hamilton 5, 1st and goal. Argos trying to get within a score. Blitz coming, and over the middle, and a touchdown for David Unger. Kelly saw the heat coming right up the middle. Makes the Ticats defense pay as the Argos a point after from getting it within 7.
Just great recognition from Chad Kelly. He just stands in there, retreats a step and a half. Watch him recognize the blitz real quick, right down the middle from Katsatona. And he just calmly says, if they're going to blitz me from the free safety position, the middle has got to be open. I'll just give it a split second and throw it across the middle.
So another touchdown pass for Chad Kelly. It took a while to get things going in this one, but they're back in it. Down 7 points. Still tons of time left at 14 minutes early 4th quarter.
Katsatona's coming clean down the middle. But Chad Kelly says, yeah, no, I've got that counted. The free blitzer is the responsibility of the quarterback. So it's no blocking responsibility for your O-line or your running backs or even receivers that might come in to help. It's not their responsibility. The free hitter is up to the quarterback. Get it out of my hands before that free hitter gets there. Right. It's a cat and mouse game no matter where it comes from. Unger saw it. He saw the opening in the middle with Katsatonas coming right down Main Street.
And David Unger, who started his CFL career with these Hamilton Tiger Cats at a couple of seasons there before he made the move the other way down the QEW to join the Toronto Argonauts. Maybe he still has some friends there at Hamilton Stadium. A little bit of talk after he picks up that touchdown, 2nd touchdown of the night for the Argos. It's the 4th of the season for Unger, and it's going to be back to Trey Ford. And we talked about this. Must be a concern for the Ticats offense with both of their starting tackles right now not being able to play.
No question.
Tyler Lau with the kickoff. Ticats with the lead and with the ball. That's Wooden on the return, and coming in the rookie Ethan John and Bubba Bolton on the special teams tackle just across the 25 of Hamilton.
I'll show you what it looks like when they're breaking down film. When they see Unger here and Katsatona's coming right down the middle as the free hitter. Unger sees that, and where is the hole going to be? It's going to be right there. Watch how it unfolds as the ball is snapped. Unger sees the hole. It's right in here, and he's going for that hole, and a couple of steps backwards for Chad Kelly buys him that time. That chess match continues.
So let's see how Ford and the Ticats respond here, starting at their 27. Pressure's coming. Hawley had him high, took him down. They got some pressure, and Ralph Hawley finally gets hold of Trey Ford and picks up the sack.
Yeah, they're going to have to figure out how they can protect a little bit of Mang there playing at guard. Hawley was lined up over Max Mang right here. And, you know, this is a position that he's just not used to, and he gets completely bull rushed right back into Trey Ford's lap.
Ford escapes the rush this time. Looks to take off, as he has so many times tonight, but well shy of the first down. And Darius Pickett, the veteran, back in double blue this year after a couple of years in Ottawa, making sure he doesn't go any further, and it's a 2-and-out for the Ticats.
Yeah, you saw the reaction from Darius Pickett after he made the tackle in the open field on Trey Ford. They can feel that momentum shift. Chad Kelly recognizes blitz, throws a touchdown. Defense gets a 2-and-out immediately. Old Mo's wearing double blue right now.
It certainly is under her back. He just had the touchdown. He's back along with Miller for this punt by Mitch McCarthy. But yes, both the starting left and right tackle, Quentin Barrow and Trevor Reed as well, are out of this game. Little reverse, and a pitch back to Unger. Gets the ball from Miller, turns it up too. And you have a flag out on that return, but a little trick there for the Argos on special teams. Trey Ford. Darius Pickett's all fired up as he prevents him from going any further.
Kick return by Jalen Rayam, just to the right of your screen right here. And back towards his own end and a blindside block, which is illegal. So that puts the ball way back inside the 15-yard line for the Argos to start this drive.
So here goes Kelly. Last time they got a touchdown out of it, and he throws after the fake, and he completes it to Metel up across the 30, and a first down for the Argos. Sold the fake nicely. Finds Metel, his leading receiver.
Did he ever? He had most of the front seven for the Ticats going to tackle a running back who didn't have the ball in his hands. Watch this fake. And then pulls it. Look at the angles that got all the way to the safety, Katsatonis.
There's Kevin Metel's first catch of this game. Pressure on Kelly, dishes it off, facing the heat to pick up a couple of yards on that one. That's Jordan Crook, the starting weak side linebacker, with the injury to Braxton Hill in there, and good work on the tackle. Could have been a loss, ended up being no gain.
Big down here. Big down here with the stop. Hamilton can grab some more of that momentum back.
Just a slight loss.
Got a one-on-one on the backside. Yep.
Four-man rush shot to the left. It's caught. It's a first down, too. It's to Monday Coxie. He gets it close to midfield across the 50. The Argonauts have something going here.
Yeah, this is a Coxie one-on-one, just trying to see pre-snap by himself on the backside of the formation. If they don't think there's any trouble with it, ended up being a zone look, but if they don't think there's any trouble with Coxie running that slant, that's where they're going.
Taking the handoff, throwing it off again, and completing it to Tyler Common. Last time he had a catch of over 40 yards. Gets that one inside the 45, and another first down, Toronto.
That was a big play by Kelly. And that slant and the one on the backside on that slant route.
Momentum is definitely swinging in this game. Argos down 7, but moving. Flushed out to the right, throwing again, and no, incomplete. The coverage there in Ungerer with Jamal Peters. It heads out of bounds. 2nd and 10. Just about the 44 of Hamilton. Big second down here. Kelly pressured again, getting more heat. Banya trying to catch him, he can't. Kelly stays in bounds and gets the first down before he's pushed out by Osai, and flags finally do fly as Kelly was looking for that call, and a late hit out of bounds against Hamilton.
Yeah, this is just a bad decision by Philip Osai. Kelly was well out of bounds when he went after him.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Hamilton, number 46. We're going to add 15 yards. And first down.
Sometimes these penalties happen because the game is so quick and you're just hands in the wrong spot. He was the guy who got that early face mask penalty that kept the drive alive. This is going to put it down deep inside Hamilton territory. There is no question Kelly is way out of bounds, and that push can be dangerous. I mean, it's not a big hit or anything. It's just a little bit of a forearm. And there goes our camera guy.
I was going to say Maddie, concerns about Maddie in camera there, and Kelly coming in. Hopefully everybody's okay. Here we go. 9 minutes on the clock, swinging it out of the first down, aided by the penalty. And it is down near the 10 for number 10, and another catch for Mitel, and a second and short coming up. Brent Monson, the defensive coordinator for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and in a spot right now, they're trying to protect the 7-point lead. With the Argos coming on again. Last time they had it, they drove down. They picked up a touchdown. Kelly again inside the 5. Mitel catches it. He's hit right away by Stubblefield, but enough for a first and goal. Another one coming up here for the Argos.
That's where Chad Kelly has to put the ball right on Mitel, right between the 1 and the 0. Can't mess around. There was 2 players closing on that quickly, and Stubblefield was one of them.
5 yards away from a chance to tie this game. Faking the handoff. Off to the left for Coxie. And the coverage was there, but too close. Too close for Zamari Walton. In on Coxie. He is flagged for pass interference. And looks like a first and goal coming up that much closer.
Pass interference. Hamilton, number 6. The automatic first down at the 1-yard line.
Zamari Waltons is basically a rookie. I mean, it's not his first year in the league. He was with the Ticats last year for a bit, but so far so good. I don't know. There was a little push and shoving going both ways there. Maybe just at the end, but I don't know about that one.
Earlier today, we saw Calgary erase a huge lead against the Alouettes and make it a game near the end. Here's Nick Arbuckle looking for his second touchdown rushing of the night. And the Grey Cup MVP from 2024 gets into the end zone again. Touchdown Argos, and a point after away from a tie game.
Few fans here that don't agree with that last pass interference call, I would imagine. But yeah. It's soft when both players are hand fighting down the field, trying to gain a little bit of position. I know I've seen a little bit of a trend over the last 2-3 weeks now that those PI calls are getting a little softer, sometimes both ways. Either it's offensive or defensive.
Well, that was an extra point to tie the game. It didn't happen. Lirim Hajrullahu puts it left. It misses. And the Ticats do continue to lead 24-23 after a 9-play drive.
He's got a new holder.
James Burnham. They had to make the switch this week.
Against Hamilton, there's the Osai penalty. I don't think there was any question that had to be called for unnecessary roughness, especially on a quarterback out of bounds. The soft PI, though, I'm not so sure about that call. They got it, got down to the 1, and Arbuckle gets them within a point of tying.
But the extra point was missed. And by the way, not saying anything about Hajrullahu or the holder Burnham, who's just thrown into the action this week because of an injury to John Haggerty. But you just change up the chemistry a bit. We'll have to take a different look at that later on. But missed extra point, bottom line, a 1-point difference. It's Wooden on a return. Here we go. He's got some space. And chase there with Hajrullahu, and he does go out of bounds. But this is what the Ticats need. Dealing with the injuries, but here's another look at the extra extra point for the attempt for Lirim Hairolau, and looks to be put down just fine there for Burnup. It just went wide left. 1 point ball game here.
A bogey for Hairolau. Or we're tied right now.
Take the one away from veteran star kicker, but wanting that one back, yeah, that's the difference right now.
But did you see what I did there?
I do. keep it going too. Well, we got to a bogey there for a guy that's had a lot of
I've had a lot
of eagles and birdies too. Here's Carrick Wheatfall, and bear in mind, and interesting to see how this might affect play selection when you talk about the offensive line for the Hamilton Tiger Cats right now.
Yeah, absolutely, and we can keep our eye on that because it's going to have to probably be quick game for Trey Ford and or him getting outside of the pressure and then just trying to create. But right now Max Mang is just hanging on.
He's at right guard, and they do get it out quickly, and it's off the fingertips of Roundtree with Adarius Pickett coming in quickly. 3rd down and 5.
Really changes the whole feel of this offense that looked so confident in the first half, actually first 3 quarters of this game, and now with 2 injuries to the O-line, trying to get the ball out of his hands too quickly there. That was a hot throw to Roundtree.
So Mark Leggio comes on. He's 1 for 1. That was just an 11-yarder. This is a much further one to see if they can make it a 4-point ball game. Still up by 1. This one will be put down between the 48 and the 49.
Hamilton.
Well, there may have been some personnel issues for Hamilton now, because there's like a chance that one of those or both offensive linemen that were injured were also on the field goal team.
That being Quentin Barrow, the right tackle, and Trevor Reed, the left tackle, who went out earlier, taken off on a cart.
So they're trying to figure out if they have enough in there.
The injuries up front making things tricky here for the Ticats. Leggio's longest in the year is 53. This one inside the 50. To be put down by McCarthy. Let me get a 4-point game. Whoa. And that one sails off the foot of Leggio. It goes wide. And Miller running around with it now and looking to break out to the left. And he's got something going here. Demir Miller gets that one out to the 35. And the Argos are still just 1 point behind.
I wonder if Demir Miller knows the new rules, but let's just take a look at the O-line, and they're trying. And now the way that Leggio approached this football, when you're looking at that as the kicker and your protection, they're not sure where they're supposed to line up. That can't be a confidence boost for the kicker in Leggio. And I'm wondering if Miller, coming out of the end zone, knew that if he let it go, they're on the 40-yard line. Another 7 or 8 yards here.
So up to the 33. Chad Kelly quickly up to his right to Tyler Common. Another catch for Common, and enough for a first down for the Argos, the 45. Kelly quickly getting them organized. They run tempo. 5:09 on the clock in the 4th quarter. Off to the right again for Mitel. Yards after the catch as he bumps into Katsantonis right across midfield. And another first down. Sticks move again for the Argos.
Mitel just bullying his way down the sideline. Common's got almost 100 yards in 1 quarter. And all of a sudden, Chad Kelly's got a little rhythm in his passing game.
From the 53 of Hamilton. 4-man rush. Kelly has time, but he's getting chased by Osai. He spins around. He gets away. How much longer can he get away? Osai got a second crack at Kelly, and that time he takes him down for a huge loss. Ticats defense had Kelly running around on that play.
Well, it looked like Osai Looked like Osai at the beginning was just trying to rest after chasing Chad Kelly around the way he did. He had a crack at him coming off the edge. He's trying to be, I'm sure, real careful not to get another penalty. Now he's out of the play, but he says, oh, wait a minute, I can keep going here. And then at the end of this, he kind of grabs his knee. So hopefully he's okay. I thought he was just resting.
Well, sometimes if you miss him and you wait long enough, he'll come right back to you in that case. But yeah, it's an eventful game in more ways than one for Philip Osai, as he is still down on the field and getting some attention. And now getting help to his feet. Injuries certainly taking a toll on this night, especially on Hamilton with those losses in the offensive line. Osai heads off with an escort, and you see 59 on his feet, Quentin Barrow, and discussion too, Kolinkowski, who was inserted after the first injury, and Mang, who came on at guard after that second one. Just a three-man rush now, and setting it up for Mitel again after the catch, and he is tackled hard as he puts his head down and gets up near midfield.
Yeah, you know, and I get the rivalry part. I mean, this is one of the great rivalries in all sports, really, and there's a little extra juice from everybody, but penalties have been part of the story tonight. Kelly's going to have to rely on his defense. And with two offensive linemen down, it's the other part of this story for Hamilton.
James Burnham in for the punt from his 45. Hamilton still hanging on to the lead. Myron Mitchell takes it inside the 5. He goes to his left. They chase him down at the 10, and a nice tackle there by Owen Goss. Special teams after a 52-yard punt by James Burnham. And back at the 10, the Ticats offense and Trey Ford starting deep in their zone, just trying to hang on. 3.5 minutes to go here in the fourth quarter.
So you got a tight end that's playing guard. How do you try to play call around that? Well, one way is to run away from him, get the run game going opposite, and hope that you can't get caught from the backside. The other is to get Trey out on the edge.
See what they do here. They try to run it. They go right side, right about where Mang was, and gets a pretty good pickup on first down.
And a good block. That'll be a little bit of a look at this. This is going to be a confidence builder for Mang. Now, he's up against Jalen Bell, who is not Ralph Hawley. Good player, but not Ralph Hawley. And that may be the difference. So that's a good block.
3-minute warning is given. Ticats with the ball deep in their zone, hanging on to have a 1-point lead. The record is 2-3. They've lost 2 in a row. The Argos are 2-3. They've lost 2 in a row. One is getting back to the 500 mark. But who? 3 minutes to go. And Ford and the Ticats, with Brandon Revenberg, their great all-star offensive lineman, moving from guard out to tackle because of both tackles being hurt. Max Mang, you see at 65, is a tight end. He's moved in to play right guard. 2nd and 4. The Hamilton 17. Argos need to stop. No, it's complete. It's Curly Gittins with it. And that's enough for a first down for the Ticats.
Well, this time it is Ralph Hawley. And how about this? This is going to be a story he'll tell for a long time. Gets a little help from Kolinkowski, but Mang hangs on there. All right, settling into that guard spot. Better not play too well, or else that might be a conversion.
Max Mang, he's quite a story. He was a star at Syracuse. He's from Germany. And coming in as a tight end, making this team, but I don't think he imagined being put in this role right now at the 24 of Hamilton. 1st and 10. Taking the handoff. Ford gets away. Tosses it off, and that's Keandre Smith. He went up for it, but he brought it down, and he gets another Ticat first down.
Whole bunch of Argos coaches shaking their head after that because that was looking like a loss in the backfield. And how many times have we said it when it comes to Trey Ford?
That time it was DeMarcus Johnson who just about got a hand on him but couldn't.
Well, he needs to, this is a Vegas act.
Disappearing from the grasp. Some of those Argos linemen.
David Blaine, Chris Angel, one of those steals.
And just running now. This Ford against the edge too. First down and more. And finally gets pushed out by Goss. But another good running play. Ford just taking off right with the snap of the ball.
Yeah, this is how you start manufacturing a win. If you're Hamilton, you're looking at this, we got to just manufacture it. We're down a couple of linemen. We got a 1-point lead. We got to get it out of our end. That's the first goal. And Trey Ford is just taking it upon his own shoulders to say, okay, we're going to run the ball a little bit. I'm going to try and get outside of a contain.
Well, Ford has thrown for 218, but he has rushed 10 times for 109 yards. He's averaging over 10 yards a carry. And Ford again on the ground. It's Roundtree. Picks up 2, 3 more. They're across midfield. And it's getting late. 2:13 in the clock. And would be very happy to just kill a lot of time, sustain enough of a drive to at least get a field goal out of this.
And make it a 4-point game there. Mike Miller's group would need the major, obviously, and but the big run by Trey Ford may be the most important play, because even if Hamilton, this got to be a good decision by number 5, because if Hamilton has to punt here, not terrible.
2nd and 9. Ford under pressure, escapes, but runs out of gas. He stumbles and barely makes it to midfield, so an actual loss on the play, and it's a 3rd down coming up. McCarthy coming on, and the Argos with 1:46 on the clock. About to get another chance for Chad Kelly.
Lots of time for Chad Kelly, and he only needs field goal range. But here's the point, though. That was a good decision by Trey Ford. He's rolling to the wrong side, to his left side, so he's right-handed quarterback. He doesn't have a wide open receiver downfield. The coverage was pretty good, and he doesn't force it. Get a turnover, it's automatic field position the other way, and now you got a punt, cover team, and make Chad Kelly drive the entire field.
So the returners for the Argos are back, round of 5. Miller is there in his opening night in the CFL along with Ungerer. End over end punt by Mitchell McCarthy coming in as Miller to get it. 15, 20, 25. Punt at 43 yards. Litre on the tackle up at the 29. Liram Hairolahu. He missed both of his field goal tries last week, and he, and most importantly tonight, missed the extra point that would have tied the game. That is the difference right now with 1:16 to go, and hoping he gets another chance to win it.
He is fighting the mental demons right now. He is fighting self-doubt. Trying to just block it out and say, nope, you're not going to win in my head. Give me a chance, get me in position. I want to take a shot.
And when we talked about the holder, it's not that anything the holder does, but just a new chemistry for that special teams unit for the kicker, Hairolahu.
Yeah, James Burnett, that was a good hold.
The throw, it's caught by Common, 40, and up to the 42. And a first down Argos.
Burnett made a great hold. That was a fine hold, but there's
talking about the chemistry.
Yeah, there's chemistry, and you have to work with your kicker for a long period of time so he trusts you to make sure that the ball is where it needs to be in the right position.
Up to the 42. Comes Kelly in the Argos. Flushed out again. Osai nearly got to him again. Directing receivers down, and it is caught. It is coaxing. It is another first down and a big gain for Toronto.
What a great scramble drill by DeMonte Coxey. He sees his quarterback in trouble outside, and any deep route in the scramble drill, you got to come back. Any shallow route goes deep. It's outside of Osai. Scramble drill, put the brakes on, come right back.
Opportunity Argos. The flag is out, though. Completed pass down to the 20 for Mackay Polk this time. As Toronto Depending on this flag, is getting closer and closer with under a minute to go to at least having a chance for a winning field goal.
Outside. Toronto number 82. 5-yard penalty. First down.
But the gain is negated. It'll go 5 yards further back. The injured Ticat is Quavian White, their field side defensive back.
Well, that's a big penalty. Middle receiver that trips into the boundary. And just as Waggle just into that neutral zone too early. That takes a chip shot field goal and puts it back out of range.
Big 5 yards, you're right. Back to the 44. It'd be over 50 a field goal try if they don't go any further. But still lots of time. 53 seconds. The veteran Hairolau. Out of Western. Started his career with Winnipeg. Won a Grey Cup with the Argos. He eventually went to Hamilton a few seasons there before going off to the NFL and then coming back with Toronto.
Brent Monson has tried to blitz Chad Kelly tonight. A couple of times he's tried, especially down inside their own end, inside the 10-yard line. He's tried to go after him with some extra rush or some extra pressure, and it hasn't worked. Kelly has just faded away from it and made the throw.
And by the way, Suits, Kelly, this is game number 6 for him. 5 of the 6 games he's gone over 300 yards passing. He had only 84 in the first half, 238 in the second half. So he started the season with 2 over 400 yards. In only 1 game has he not thrown for at least 300.
I don't think we're going to see blitz at all from Hamilton in this, based on what's happened and unfolded in this game.
So an injury in the secondary.
First down, so it's just trying to get that penalty yards back.
Caleb Hayes is in for Quavian White. The fake. Kelly keeps it. Lots of real estate ahead. Chased down there by Crook, but he's done enough to get them closer. A first down and definitely in the range of Hairolau.
Great decision by Chad Kelly to pull the ball here. He sees the reaction from that side of the defense, playing down to the play fake. Osai again, look at how he went hard down inside.
To the 26. Argos can taste an opportunity to win this game now. Half a minute to go. First down, they can take all the time they need. And that time they run it, and they don't get much out of it. But they're all centered up with 23 seconds on the clock for Sam Hicks, the ball carrier. And what a spot for redemption this would be for Hairolau.
Comfortable, very comfortable distance. However, when you're struggling, and tonight, Hairolau, who has struggled, you're not completely confident in your holder yet. Not that Burnham has done anything wrong tonight. It's not been any bad holds. But they've been thrown together, this group.
And there's Burnham. He was with Ottawa last week in their practice roster. They drafted him in the global draft. They had traded him away. They needed to because John Haggerty was just hurt last week. So he just hasn't had much time. They have not had much time working together.
Benji Franklin goes over little words of encouragement.
2nd and 9. And just keeping it on the ground, keeping it safe, keeping it centered. And here we go with 18 seconds on the clock at 3rd down as Burnham and Hairolau will come on now, looking for the winning points in this game. And Adam Gillimet, the center as well, part of that equation.
Yeah, Gillimet was in there talking to both of them, basically saying, hey, don't worry about it, ball be where it needs to be. And then Burnham's got to go to Hairolau and say, hey, you just go through your motion. I'll make sure it's on the tee. Don't worry about it.
For those who don't know, in your career, you were a holder. You know all about working with Dave Ridgway and who was your center? Bob
Poley, yeah.
But that's a team, isn't it? You work a lot together.
Hours and hours.
They have the time. So this is 1 yard closer than an extra point try. Hairolau from right down the middle to win it. It heads left. It heads out, and under the new rule, Argos. That is not a point. Hyralau misses it left again, and with that, the Hamilton Tiger Cats hang on and defeat the Argos by 1 point.
And with the new rule, if it goes through the end zone and out without being played or touched, there is no single.
A year ago, we'd be going to overtime.
Absolutely.
In fact,
oh, I'll tell you what, that was a nice athletic move. That was Keandre Smith coming off the edge, just looking like he might want to try to block it, and got out of the way so there was no roughing the kicker. But yeah,
I remember a game recently, last year, the year before, Saskatchewan, similar situation, where Hyralau, and this is a guy that doesn't miss often, had a miss there, but because of the Rouge, they won the game. It had been tied. And
well, the snap was bang on. I saw that live. I'm pretty sure, although we're up here a distance, that the hold looks solid. As we talk about that three-man team that is the field goal team. And he just